Okay, as mentioned in previous part, conflict process consists of 5 stages. Start with the first stage. In stage 1, potential oppositions or incompatibility need to be present for the conflict to exist. So here, normally communication is the source of conflicts. Normally represent those opposition forces that arise from semantic difficulties, misunderstandings, and noise in the communication channel. So basically, the source of the conflicts is oppositions or incompatibility, such as in terms of communications, in terms of difficulty in understanding the meaning or the semantic of the communications, the wording and so on, and also the noise that may exist in the communications process from sender to the receiver, from the speakers to the audience. There may be some noises. These noises can be in terms of semantic difficulties, in terms of uh, other thing that could prevent the receiver to understand the message from the sender, or from the audience misunderstanding of the speakers in terms of the meaning and the message that's been conveyed through the communications. So the potential for conflicts increase when either there are too little or too much communication takes place. And the structure, because as you can see here, the antecedent or the conditions that involved in stage 1 that leads to the conflicts in terms of communication, that's mean in terms of anything related to the communication, misunderstanding, noise, and so on, and in terms of structure and personal variable. So structure can be in terms of the size, degree of specializations of the structures, jurisdiction's clarity, member goal compatibilities, leadership style. The can also be the cause for the conflicts. Reward system, if the members or if the employees didn't think that the reward system or the reward that be given to them is considered satisfied, this also can lead to conflicts. And also degree of dependence. So in terms of personal variable includes a personality, like I mentioned. Different kind of personalities can create conflict among individuals. Emotion and values, having emotional problems or inability to control our emotions can also cause conflict or cause problem to others. And having different values maybe also some problems. So indicated in the textbook is people high in personality traits such as disagreeableness. That means individual who do not like to agree or always like to disagree with others, or having neuroticism, or in other words, emotional instability. Self-monitoring can self-monitor, that means they always want to be in control. They always want to be to monitor their behavior in certain way. This self-monitoring personality is considered good, but disagreeableness and neuroticisms are normally always bad. So this kind of personality prone to tangle with other people often. So this kind of personality tend to create problems when we talk about interaction with others. So they also react poorly when conflict occurs. This kind of personality traits. So emotion can also cause conflict even though they are not directed at others. So people who experience different kind of emotions, even though these emotions are not really related to the other individual that they are working with, but still can create conflicts, because suddenly if you have different kind of emotions, especially if you cannot manage your emotions, actually can be perceived by others as maybe if can be disliked by others for having the emotions that difficult to control. So in stage 2, the potential positions or incompatibility become actualized. So here is the condition that can cause the conflicts. In stage 2, this condition can become actualized. That means can take place or can start to take a toll on individual. So stage 2, because of disagreement is perceived as conflict. Remember, I explained in the previous part regarding the interactions become disagreement. So disagreement, in other words, can create conflicts. So disagreement is a perceived conflicts. However, it does not mean it is personalized. That means the personalized, that means it's not really related to, it's not really like a personal, it's not affect the personality of the individual, but it's actually disagreement can relate to conflicts. So it is at the felt conflicts level when individual become emotionally involved. So the perceived conflict is not related much to the individual as a person, but felt conflicts is where the individual become emotionally involved, that they experience anxiety, tension, frustrations, hostility, and so on. So at the perceived conflict, they only perceive, but it's not really they themselves feel it. So felt conflict is the times when it's affect their personal, affect their emotions. So is the conflict that they felt. So this relates to their experience of anxiety, tension, frustrations, and hostility, and so on. So stage 2 is important for two reasons. First, because it's where conflict issues tend to be defined. Because first you perceive the conflict, that means you perceive, then you felt the conflicts, that means you felt, then you define that's actually conflict exists. So this stage is important because at this stage conflict issue is defined, where the party decide what the conflict is about. Remember, I mentioned in the previous parts, if no one aware of the conflicts, that means conflict is not exist. So here, the conflict is start to be defined. So that means the person or individual aware of the existence of the conflicts. So this is the starting point of the conflicts to take place. I mean, already take place, but it's getting worse. So because emotions play a major role in shaping perceptions, so here it just perceive what they perceive, what they think about the conflicts. And here is involved more of the emotion. Here is what they perceive, just the perceptions. Here involve emotion. So because emotion play a major role in shaping perceptions, therefore our reaction to the conflict. So here we just perceive. Here is we felt it, because when we felt it, it's related to the emotions. Normally, it's getting worse when the emotions come in, or when the emotions when the emotions is blend in with the perceptions. And stage 2 involve in intentions. So as you can see here, stage 3. So the stage 3 involve intentions. Intentions or decision to act in the given way. So this intention intervenes between people perception and emotion. So people have perceptions and then they are clouded with emotions. Then normally they shown on their overt behavior. So the question here, why are intentions are separated out at a distinct stage? So in other words, why intention is being separated at a different stage? Why intention is not just being put in any of the stage instead of having on its own? That means stage 3 just on intention, because intention is like a perceptions. So here is why the question, why intention is separated out at a distinct stage. So it's indicate here because intention can escalate a lots of conflicts, because if one party, if individual attributes the wrong intentions to the other individual, this can escalate or this can speed up the many types or many conflicts to exist. So intention actually, even though it just intention is may not be turned out into behavior, however, intentions can escalate the conflict, the loci of the conflicts, especially when we talk about conflicts. So it's been so intention is dedicated under stage 3 of the conflict process. So one way to identify the primary conflict handling intention is to think about the conflict along 2 dimensions. First one is cooperativeness, second one is assertiveness. So if we want to talk about intentions, first we need to talk about 2 dimensions that relates to the intention. The first one is cooperativeness, second one is assertiveness. So cooperation is the degree to which one party attempt to satisfy another party concern. That's mean one party, one individual attempt to satisfy the other party's concerns. So this party, this individual try to satisfy other people concerns. That means they are not focusing on themselves, but they focusing on, like, if I'm talking on behalf of me, I'm not concerned about myself, I'm concerned about you or others. So that's why I put you here, because normally cooperative mean we try to satisfy also other people concern. So that mean is cooperativeness. Assertiveness is regarding to degree to which one party attempts to satisfy his or her own concern. So that's why I put me here. So intention, if we have intention to satisfy others, that means we will involve in cooperation. If we in our intention is to satisfy ourselves, our concern, that means me, that's considered assertiveness. So that's the 2 dimensions. So there are 5 conflict handling intention that can be identified. First one is competing, second one is collaborating, avoiding, accommodating, and compromising. So all these 5 conflicts handling intentions is catered toward either concern to satisfy others or concern to satisfy our own self. So competing is also conflict handling regarding intentions. Normally, competing is we try to satisfy our own interest. That's why we compete, because we want to achieve something that we desire. So this is related to more of the assertiveness, because we are talking about satisfying our own concerns. Collaborating is to satisfy the concern of all parties, involve me and also you. So collaborating is a win-win situation between satisfying others or satisfying other persons, other individual, and satisfying ourselves. So collaborating is more of a win-win solutions. Avoiding is try someone who have this conflict handlings in terms of avoiding. They try to withdraw or suppress the conflict. So for example, if they realize the existence of the conflict, so they do not want to deal with that, so they just ignore, they keep away from the persons who they disagree with. So this kind of consider is a kind of for me is kind of lose-lose situation solutions. Accommodating is willing to place the opponent interest above his or her own. So accommodating is focusing more on this satisfying the other concerns. So here, accommodating willing to place the opponent interest, that means to satisfy the other's interest more than their own interests. And compromising, each party intends to give up something, no winner, no loser. So here compromising, the first party and also another party try to give up on something. So they give up on something that means no winners, no loser. So this also the opposite of collaborating. So keep in mind that intentions are not always fixed. Intentions also can keep changing, fluctuates. So they might change because of the reconceptualizations and also because of emotional reaction. So emotions, as you all know, it fluctuates. It depends on the situation, depend on the internal conditions. So individuals have preference among So we may have different kind of preference of using among of these. So it's not really fixed whether we want to use competing, whether we want to use collaborating. So we have a preference among all these, which one to choose. Stage 5.